Everybody, this is Brooke and CLCI and Lisa and Anthony and Jerome. Today we're going to talk about pricing and probably marketing. I mean, just anything to do with pricing and marketing. It's the last week of our marketing month, and we just want to sort of touch base on marketing, whatever we feel like. Um, Jerome, do you want to get started?
Sure. I think before we delve into the randomness of what marketing can be, we kind of want to spearhead the conversation today with pricing. So we kind of reached out to you guys and asked what you guys be interested in speaking about. And Brooke's been working on a beautiful pricing calculator all day. And we might be able to show you guys a little bit of that. And it will be available to you guys. So we're excited about that there. Also, happy to have Lisa back with us. We I think we all are. So with that,
Yeah, we missed her last week.
Last week was grandbaby's 5th birthday, so that was my excuse. We're at Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese. So pricing, what the heck are you supposed to charge as a coach?
And what do you need to make to survive? And not only survive, thrive as well, because you're definitely worth your time.
That's really the key. Is like,
well, hold on. Also, is to feel confident in yourself and what you're charging, because a lot of people, they may think and feel they get X amount, but they're somehow not able to feel confident in themselves and asking for that. Okay, go ahead, Brooke.
You're muted,
Now
Brooke.
I can hear you.
Let's ask that question then. How do you, what do you guys need to charge for something confidently? Like what needs to happen in your world for that to for you to be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm charging.
I would say an understanding. I would really hammer down if this is going to be a full-time profession for me or a side hustle, something to do on a side of like a different job, not an actual job, because coaching is your actual job too. But a second job of yours, how much time can you dedicate to coaching is what I would figure out first.
That's a big part. Well, I where I would start is with, okay, what do I need to make to live, to survive, to like start with the basic, like bare minimum, and if that's coming from my side hustle, if that's coming from my daytime job, and then I'm adding coaching in as an extra piece, or if I'm just going to go head first all the way and just say, you know what, I'm going to starve and eat ramen until I figure out how to do this.
And they're done that.
What?
And they're done that.
Yeah. Yep. Those are sort of the options that you have, and then I would figure out, okay, what do I have to make to scrape by? What's my rent? What's my, and put it all together and put together a budget, and then that's where the pricing calculator comes in, by the way.
It's a hard question to answer, like in classes, because we get people from all over the United States and the world as well, and we can't just say $200 an hour long session, because that, without any context, means nothing. $200 is completely different in California than it is in, Ohio or Kansas or something like that.
And so me being a numbers person, like I'm so numbers guided. I'm very analytical. I'm a audio digital. I just go by numbers first. And I actually recently had a coaching session not too long ago, and I was asked to what my worth was, what my value was in the coaching session. And my reaction was, I need a spreadsheet. Like I have to, where's the spreadsheet at? I could not identify my value without having to look at numbers, which is a whole other sort of philosophical concept at that point, right? But is there also innate value? Like we can start with there, but we also may feel as coaches and as people that our time has an innate value, and how do you measure or calculate that as well? I'm just, being throwing a wrench in the game at the moment.
It's a really tough question. Me personally, my mind goes to the question of what am I doing in that time? And sometimes I remember when we first started working together, Brooke, way back when, you asked that question, what should we charge and how should we charge that in what areas. And I think ultimately over time it's come down to really again understanding that basis level of what 1 hour of your time, for me at least, is worth. You're even when I first started working with you, Brooke, it was kind of like a hey, uh, I like what I'm doing, so I'm willing to kind of whatever it is, I'm okay with it. But as I progressed and started
That's
getting
where we
better
all
at some of the
start.
things that I've worked with, I gained confidence and realized that my time was valued at way higher than what I was originally trying to value myself at.
And then there's
So,
the scary thing that you do if you sit down and start looking at market research and things like that and seeing like what other people are charging. And sometimes like ICF recently put out a coach their coach global coaching study, and I was looking at the numbers, and it was, I believe it was more than 44% of coaches charge more than $400 an hour. And I was like, oh my god, that's such a large number. You'd think that'd be the higher upper echelon. But for the fact that it was, almost half were charging that much an hour. But that's the one thing to keep in is coaches are independent contractors as well.
But
So
also what you're
go ahead.
talking about is executive coaching, and those numbers are about what you're delivering to the group, and you have already put together a package format, not really a package, but a standard that you're going to be following with that group of individuals. So it's not just I'm making this per hour. You've got a lot of back work that you've already done, as well as you're going to do some forward work beyond what the end.
Well, typically, I think a big hurdle this is in being somebody that markets for coaches, and that works with coaches starting out their new businesses. It One of the biggest hurdles is getting everybody to understand that you have to still prove your return on investment, right? As a coach, you have to still be able to prove your worth, and that they're getting that return on investment. It's very easy to do when you have a specific product, right? So like with CLCI, we give a certification. People know that when they graduate from CLCI, they're going to be certified. It's a very simple thing, but that is really ultimately the first thing they come to us for. As a coach, how do you communicate the value of happiness or the value of fulfillment, which is, yes, invaluable, but that it is a hurdle to jump as a coach, is to be able to show that, okay, this is worth, how much is your happiness worth to you? That is where my fee comes from. And that's where that's where that value-based coaching kind of charging, which makes it a little more murky water. But what I have learned too is that you can charge anything you want in the world as an independent contractor. Somebody will pay it. It just might be fewer and further between, right? So it's a matter of the less you charge, the more clients you'll need. The more you charge, the less you'll need. But you're going to have that sort of trade off where you're not going to be booking as many clients if you're charging, $15,000 a client. So, I just looked at what coach was that who charges $200,000? I was blown away. I was like, oh my god!
Yeah, you've sent that to us in a link or something like that. I saw that and that blew my mind.
Whoa!
well, there's that space of, I guess, mystique that comes behind someone that charges that much. Like they must be good, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, like, well, I mean, that's you hope.
yeah.
And so the question there is, are they already bought and sold, hook, line, and sinker? When they hand you that, like, is your job easier or harder when you're charging that much? Because psychologically, on some level, the people, somebody's paying that much, they've already bought in, like, haven't they? So does that make my job easier as a coach, or do you think it's harder?
I think it would maybe make your job easier as a coach, because maybe often when you're starting out as a coach and maybe you're charging lower rates, you might encounter clients who don't are kind of wishy-washy on their goals. But if you charge that high ticket price, like, you better believe that whoever's paying that much money is like wanting
Well,
to get that goal accomplished.
that's a beautiful point. That is a huge argument for why giving away coaching is not always the best policy, right? Because a lot of times people need that monetary accountability for them to take it seriously, to take the process seriously. It's part, the payment is actually part of the accountability process.
So I started couples coaching back in 2011. And when I was working that, one of the things that we did, because there was a group of us at that time, is if you booked and paid for your first session, you got your second session free. So there was always that build-in of return rather quickly. And then we moved past that. So getting paid for session one without having to go through and what are they? Not intake. There's another term. I can't think of what it's called right now. Where you're trying to see if this is a good fit for you and for them and all that good stuff. Just get into coaching. I mean, my goodness, we don't need to do all of this. And there's some people that do. That's up to you. For me, I don't need to go in all of that. Let's find out what needs to happen, where you want to go, what you want to do.
Let's get started.
Let's just get started. And frankly, that's how I've always conducted my coaching sessions. We're in coaching as soon as they walk through my door. Now, how the coaching session progress in speed, that's up to them. But I'm going to go with the assumption that this is working. There was a discounted price for the first session because I did have to do, if you will, my due diligence. So I did discount it a little bit. And I had one client who, I love everything that you do and what we did here. I love all of this. However, I'm not paying any more than what this price is. And I went, okay, I don't need this client, one. And two, that taught me a lesson. Every client can teach you a lesson. So for me, I realized that I no longer need to discount it as much as I was because somebody's going to take advantage of it. And I have value for myself. I have value with the education I've had. And I know what my return on investment was. So I changed my, if you will, language in who I was in the process of being a couples coach. Everyone tends to have a process as a coach that they feel comfortable going through. Think about yourself, right? What are you comfortable right now? What is going to the next phase cause you some discomfort? And in that discomfort, that's where you go. And then you find your comfort in that. And then you keep progressing in that manner. The other concept is recognize your target market. Is that target market affordable to you? No or yes. I mean, that's going to be a yes or no question for the most part. Then who can afford your fees and you still get to work with that target market? That might be where you're opening up to others to help contribute for those that can't afford your fee. Maybe you think about holding group sessions. The group sessions then opens up the possibility of people reaping the benefit of you as the coach, but also for what they can afford. But I tell you, I've got a lesson there too.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, because the group sessions are not they don't come turnkey. There's actually some legwork and some back work and some things that have to happen for a group coach that they incur expenses. They do.
Well, so. even when I had a young couple that came in to me who were working. I mean, this couple worked, you could tell they did the work in between because they came back leaps and bounds and growth. But when they originally spoke with me, they didn't have a lot of money. They couldn't afford a lot of things. And so I checked in with them because because I could see how much they were working and I was ready to, at that point, give it to them for free. That would have been a mistake because what I did was I investigated, right? I asked curious questions. You mentioned in the first session that this was something that was pushing your budget a little bit. Share with me how that's going. And they go, oh, it's no problem now. We canceled our cell phone. So somebody who values the lessons that they're getting or the coaching that they're getting within your session, they're going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. They absolutely will. And I don't believe in pushing people beyond their limits, like asking more than they can take. but I've definitely had clients that went home and they took the time to like save up and come back and work with me, and that's a huge compliment. That's a huge compliment. Like I have nothing but for somebody to take the time to like figure out how to make enough money so that they could work with me. That's huge, and I am very grateful. And it makes me work harder too, as well.
Absolutely.
I have a quick question that maybe the audience might be interested in hearing an answer to. I know specifically within the coaching realm, as coaches, I believe coaches are some of the best people on the face of the planet. They have this want to help. And how do you get over that hurdle of sometimes, kind of like Lisa was mentioning, almost giving away her services for free? What would be an answer as to why that isn't a good idea, as opposed to you trekking on and I guess getting your due?
I can think of at least 3 reasons why it's not a good idea. We sort of touched on one, which is the accountability thing, right? You want that cost. Basically, you are valuing your services. You're saying what I do is worthwhile. It's worth. It has monetary value, and that value exists regardless of who you are as a person, regardless of the work. That value is innate, right? So by discounting yourself, you're actually discounting all of life coaching for everybody. Like you have a group responsibility to your fellow life coaches to not undercut your costs and your pricing, because the moment you charge less, you're driving the market down for everybody. So your fellow coaches rely on you to keep the pricing in a good place. So that's one reason. Also, another reason being the accountability. They'll take it more seriously if there's money involved. They just will. So, and then Lisa.
Well, we have a lot of pastors and ministers that come through the class, and a lot of the times they'll share with us how burnt out they are. What is that about? It's because they are nonstop. They're not charging. They're not feeding their own souls in that sense, right? Mm-hmm. So that self-accountability becomes very important in this, and you giving away things for nothing makes you have to work harder. You know that the airplane, when you go on the airplane, they always tell you got to put the mask on first, and then you can help those around you. Well, if you're not putting the mask on and you're helping those around you, what's going to happen to you? You're not going to get any oxygen, and you're going to be exhausted in one way or another. So in order for you to spread your wealth of human compassion and empowerment, you've got to be sustained as well. And so being aware of your self needs, part of that is about what you're charging, and being able to set your own boundary around that so that it's practical for you and practical for your client, both.
I've got a question that might be playing devil's advocate, which I think is a good question, because I think I see a lot of newer coaches wanting to do this, but maybe when they're first starting out, they're just got accredited and they're just starting their business. Would it be a good investment to have coaching sessions for free to get those testimonials? And that way you can sort of get your engine sort of started, and you can use those testimonials as a way to show that you have the skills, you had past clients. And then after that, after you get your testimonials, you can start charging an appropriate price.
I have 2 answers for that.
Yeah,
I don't know for sure, but I'm sure a lot of people are thinking that.
I think that both answers are. I mean, but it works both ways. There are hurdles either way, right? I think that it's really, if the coach themselves feels like that's what they need to do to feel confident enough to charge, to get a little experience, then okay, go for it. But my gut is, once you've got your certification, once you get out there, once you get started, you should start charging. You should, because you want to set a precedent, and you want, that getting people to transfer from that not charging space to that now I'm going to charge you space can sometimes be really difficult for coaches, really, really difficult.
Just like I explained that one that I charged X amount, which was a really low fee. He said, I'm not paying any more than that. I'm a New Jersey and we know if we're going to get it for this, we're not paying any more.
So,
but not only that too, though, you should never be giving it away for free. Like in that case too, you shouldn't be, period. There's an expectation of return. So if you are doing it for testimonials, there should still be a contract, there should still be a clear explanation. I'm offering you this service for you aren't charging me a fee, but what you're giving me in return is you will be recording testimonials, you'll be saying publicly that you are being coached and allowing me to talk about it. You then lay out in your contract a different, it's more like a barter at that point, but you're still getting something in return. And that's really what is critical, and what I think where a misstep that a lot of new coaches take is they just say, okay, I'm going to do a free session, just throw it out there, when in truth what they should be doing is still having an expectation of return for themselves for what they're offering, and realize that what they're giving is valuable regardless. And so there are other ways people can give to you besides handing you cash money as well.
And that's a good term, bartering. If they're bartering, then that's an acceptable form of payment. When you're thinking of invoicing, always put what the barter invoice is amount. If your hourly rate is $200 and you put $200 on the invoice.
And lay it out very clearly. So, and that's true of if two coaches, there's reciprocating that happens. So if two coaches are exchanging time and they're coaching with one another or what have you, that should also still have a contract and be laid out. This is what I charge and this is an equivocal value. It does start to get murkier there. I sometimes shy away from the bartering system simply because you want to make sure that everybody feels like they're getting their money's worth, especially if it's two different products. So that's that you just want to be very clear at the start. I would also, if you're going to do that, where you're going to do, okay, I'm going to give away some free sessions, have a deadline as to when you set that up. Say 4 free sessions. After 4 free sessions, I expect a payment to start happening, and lay out what that payment's going to be. And if it has to step up slowly, then say the first tier then will be $25. We'll do 4 sessions at $25, and we'll step up from there and we'll do 75. And you can sort of get them used to reaching in their pocket and handing you money, because the first time they do that's going to be the most difficult, but it'll be easier each progressive time that they do it. And setting that deadline makes it so much easier for you to hop that hurdle of how do I switch from a non-paying to a paying client, which is really where I think a lot of our coaches have a lot of issue, honestly.
Now at this point, it's just starting to sound like it'd just be so much easier for me to just say, okay, everybody pays this amount and we'll work from there. None of this stepping up in increments sort of thing.
That's always been my philosophy as well. But I know a lot of coaches out there, when you have this heart to do this work and they have been doing it for free, it's sometimes a process for them to go through and ask for money. And so that is oftentimes about the coach, not about the client.
Absolutely.
And that coach is building confidence in themselves at that same stepping up plan also.
Rand Head says, hello everyone. Do you know if agencies are able or get grants to provide coaching services to certain populations? And absolutely there are. BYE LLC, which is somebody that we partner with, they partner with charities and things to get them basically to connect one another. And we recently had them send single parents through to get coach training. But there absolutely are. You just want to do some research. I know we had another graduate, Sam, I believe her name was Sam Smith, came through, and she works with a charity that does that. A lot of nonprofits integrate coaching into their nonprofits and do it for populations that can't afford it. Absolutely, that exists.
What we were talking about earlier, those that can't afford it, then you work in ways that they do. So those nonprofits definitely is one of the ways.
Yeah, I think Daryl is also starting one as well. He's doing it for veterans. So yeah. we even have coaches that have graduated our school that are out there trying to pursue that as well. So just do some research and look, and that for sure exists. Another way you can give away, your services while still not like running yourself into the poorhouse is to to just set aside a short amount of time, right? Make sure that you do 6 hours a day of paid clients, and then have 1 hour or 2 hours a day where you have that lower priced ticket, cost, for that person who can't afford. I would still recommend even charging, $20 a session or something like that, just for that accountability's sake. Really, it gets everybody to show up and be present.
So the thing like you're speaking about that they put out there, even for restaurants, right? On their slowest days as when they're going to encourage the lower price, the happy hours and things like that. So create your own happy hour.
Exactly. But they're not giving them away for free, right? It's buy one, get one, maybe. It's BOGO.
Kind of similar to the space. Laura Kramer asked, she is wondering if we can speak about packages. So packaging where you pay X amount of dollars per hour if you are to commit to X amount of weeks for my services.
And that's huge. That's the commitment. That's the way to get them to come back, not just do the one-off. Because a lot of times if, she said, I'm looking forward to getting certified through CLCI. I'm interested in working with young adults. That's awesome. Specifically young ladies who recently transitioned from the child welfare system. And I think I know a couple coaches that have come through wanting to do the same thing. So that's exciting. Welcome, Rand. And I hope I'm saying your name right. I hope to see you in class.
So with packages, I think in my mind are far more attractive to me as a client than a one-off, because a one-off, this is also from the perspective that I know what coaching is, but a one-off coaching session doesn't feel like it's going to get a lot of work done, because you see the progress over time through coaching sessions, through keeping accountable with your coach and sort of committing to these incremental goals. So a coaching plan is, in my opinion, the ideal way you would coach someone, and then charge them for it as well.
And while I'm going to go to devil's advocate now, because there's oftentimes one session is such a golden experience, they can run for months on that.
I've had that twice. Where it just was like,
Anthony, you're not wrong, but it's to plan for both the client that's going to get the epiphany and instantaneously, as well as the ones that want to do the work a little longer.
I will say though, even though I've been the client that's had the epiphany moment, I don't think it's a bad thing to then still have them come back, because there's still a lot to keep working on. You can live in that epiphany, but there's always more to work on. There really is. The benefit of the package too, though, is that you can, again, guarantee that they're going to come back and come through the door. That accountability comes into place, but you also, like you mentioned, as a client, it's a good way to give a perceived discount. And actually it's a good way to sort of to charge more. It's a good way to charge more, because if you start with your package rate, your biggest package, so your 12-week package, we'll say, and you start with that at the lowest rate you want to make, well, every other rate is going to go up from there. So that's pretty awesome when you think about it.
We add to the package concept. So when we're talking about the 12-hour rate, 14-hour. So we got that statistic from John Gottman. He said the commitment people are willing to make is usually up to 14 hours. Now that's one-on-one kinds of services. We're not talking about executive coaching. When we go into the executive coaching, we're going a 3, 6, 9, 18-month package. That's completely different than that individual.
Well, and that's where the value pricing comes in as well. Like somebody who's doing a 3, 6, 18 month, that's going to be we're not even touching on that realm. That is value pricing. At that point, that is a return on investment pricing. That is sitting down with your, client who, your client who's an executive, who's a business, figuring out how much money they are going to make as a result of working with you, and then what percentage of that is worthwhile then to the coach or consultant. then, but in this space though, we're talking one-on-one or couples, even group coaching though. We were talking about group coaching too, because group coaching, a lot of group coaches nowadays, they're all doing, everybody does a 12-week program. Everybody does a 12-week group coaching program. Like that is the hot ticket. And again, that's that I guess that probably comes with that breakthrough as a client is supposed to come really in that 10, 11, 12-week space where that's where the bulk of people have the most growth. How do you guys price that? How did you price it, Lisa? I know how I tell my clients to price it. I know how I do. I price a whole different way though. Well, it's not that different though. I ask for I ask to be retained. So that is my it's either you retain me or nothing.
Just research, right? I'm in when I was in Costa Mesa area, because I'm not there anymore, I was in a big expensive area, but I wasn't, my niche, my target market wasn't necessarily the wealthy people. That's not saying I didn't have wealthy people come in, but that wasn't my goal. My goal was to work with those that didn't want to go to therapy, that wanted to tap into the coaching process, and that they worked for someone. So I'm thinking, as you see the avatar being built, I have a specific person. I could even say that person is a 35-year-old female, even though both men and women called. It's not only about pricing, it's also about allowing your language to be more clear. And in that pricing, I determined, sorry, I got puppies in the background. I determined X amount of dollars is what I needed to make. So I was working smarter, not harder.
Yes. So that's going to, if we want, we can peek at the pricing calculator. We can do this calculating of pricing.
There might be someone in the audience just give me some numbers.
Yeah, that'd be me. I'd be the one going
numbers or something to look at.
I just want something to wrap my head around this.
So I'm going to say the average coach, not executive coach, just the average regular group coach or one-on-one tends to get about $200, and that's plus or minus to that.
And so here's the thing too, that people's jaws will hit the floor, right? Because minimum wage is around $10 an hour. So, oh my God, 200. The difference being though, something to bear in mind, and this comes through when you look at the pricing calculator, is when you are a coach, you are also a business owner. You aren't getting benefits. Your taxes are different. You're paying for your own insurance. You have all these things, and you're not coaching most of the time a full 8-hour day, 40 hours a week. Like you're not typically in sessions 40 hours a week as a coach. So that's why that price comes up a little bit more.
And then you also might have expenses, such as you might contract work out to other people to sort of help you along the way.
So I'm going to share my screen and show you the calculator. So this calculator has got two different elements to it. There's the easy calculator, and then there's the one that really gets in depth. And somehow I lost you guys. Oh, there you are. Okay, so wait, can you see over here? This one?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, so this is the easy one. And so if you just said, okay, I'm pulling numbers out of the air, I want to make $75,000 a month or a year being a coach. Why isn't my thing working? My
your keyboard expired.
I lost my keyboard. It died. It died on me. Hold on 1 second, guys. I might need to go get a battery. No, my keyboard has died completely. So I can't show you anything right now.
So just to walk us through it, just talk the walk.
Hold on 1 second. Actually, wait, you guys talk for 1 second while I grab a battery and we'll be set.
That's what we can do. Imagine that.
I've got a question.
Luckily, I have batteries right here in my drawer.
So let's say that I don't have the confidence yet as a coach. What's a good way to gain that confidence to demand that higher?
I demand.
Put your fist down.
If you're just like your clients need to get their confidence, right? And
Brooke, mute yourself. I can't hear Lisa.
But you don't get a coach.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to touch on also is because we spoke about a little bit as to what you as a coach have to consider when paying for that $200 price point. Also, I think for clients, what they should come to understand is that that 1 hour isn't just you sitting down for 1 hour getting just reflective thought from someone. That is someone who has probably more than likely put hours on hours on hours behind their craft, and they are compartmentalizing that into 1 hour and serving it to you that best serves you, and eventually, hopefully, giving you the best outcome possible, which couldn't happen without those hours that had come previously, training to become someone that can help you in that space.
One of the things I did when I was young in coaching, if you will, is I had 5 people to turn to, right? Those 5 people fill different things. So when you're talking about building a practice and building your self-confidence and building and being who you're meant to be, who are you meant to be? What is important about who you're meant to be when you're in there being this coach? If you're not doing the walk and the work yourself, how are you inspiring that in your clients? So when Anthony made that question, I think it's a great question. For your self-confidence to build monetary value, you have to find value in yourself. And that's not your advice. It's in your ability to learn, grow, change, and do it again. Growth sometimes is not the easiest.
So it's not just one easy answer, do this hack and gain confidence. You got to put the work behind it as well, which in your certification, that's part of the work too.
Yeah.
Even though anybody, I guess, could, in theory, just start coaching. They're not breaking any laws, but they're not going to have the education to back that up. And that's probably going to end up showing down the line and biting them in the butt.
Yeah. I think coming to a certification program, even if it's not ours, but somebody who is an accredited certification program, that right there helps provide a lot of confidence, because you are learning the skill of what it truly means to be a certified coach. You're learning how to have more confidence in yourself, because you are learning what that back story is and what that we call it go learn, what the go learn resonates out to.
So the sad news is my keyboard is dead. I have to get a new keyboard. I'm useless for the rest of the day, but that's okay. I get a break. That's awesome.
I can create it from on my end, Brooke. I have access to that.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, and we can just walk through. But that was a really good point, though, because from being somebody who I worked in corporate for 13 years, and then I stopped and I said, okay, I'm going to strike out on my own. And at first I had no clue what to charge, and I was terrified. And I started at a much lower rate than I am now. But at the same time, I had 14 years of experience under my belt, doing what I was doing, which should bring you some confidence, but it's still terrifying when you're going out there and starting your own business. And then as I progressed and as I got clients and as I realized how valuable what I did was, and the reasons that I was uniquely valuable, and the things that I offered set me apart from other people, that made me realize, I can ask for more money. It was that coupled with also, I need to survive, like starving, and having to figure out how to make it on your own makes it really easy to very quickly decide to charge more. Like that the knowledge that, oh man, if I don't figure out how to make more money, or I'm gonna not be able to feed myself or have gas in my tank, that will quickly make you go, okay, rates need to go up. And then once you get in a good place like that, there's so much more that comes into it, because I mean, Anthony, Lisa, you know this too, Jerome, you have people then that you're subcontracting, you have to pay, and then it's like the more you make, the more expenses there are. So it just is the nature of the beast.
No problem.
So I tried to capture some of that, like in this the calculator. So there's the simple one. The simple one is like the most basic level. And if you want to pull it up, Jerome.
Yes.
Which I guess I could just show you from without typing on
I
it.
want to see it in action.
Yeah. So did you? Can you? For some reason, I can't see the whole thing. Can you zoom out a little?
Yes, I can.
There we go. And scroll over. The other way. It feels like it's missing something. There we go. Okay. So if you look there, the first thing you'll fill out is how much do you want to make per year. This is the simple one. And then how many sessions per week do you want to have? Which, again, this is idealistic too. This is saying that you have that many clients. You may not, right? And then how many weeks a month or a year do you want to work? So if you want to take off 2 weeks for vacation, you put 50 in there. If you want to take, that's up to you. That's the benefit of being an entrepreneur, though, is you have the added value of being able to make your own schedule and decide these kind of things.
Wait a minute. What?
So doing that, then it'll automatically pop it out and say, okay, you need to make $150 per session to survive. I mean, to get to that $75,000 point. What that's not really giving you is a full picture of anything. So then if you go to the next tab over, Jerome, on the bottom.
Yep. Expensive.
This is when we go into the beefy one. So this is where you can have the opportunity to input your expenses for just about everything. So your everyday expenses, your family, if you scroll down, and this is a monthly and it calculates out to annual. So you'll see office expenses, marketing expenses, healthcare expenses, home utilities, technology, entertainment, travel, everything you could possibly spend money on as a human being. And you can put that in there and budget it out for what it will be each month, and then that will calculate out to the annual. So Jerome, do you want to just pop some values in there?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's see how much you spend on
restaurants every week.
Ignore the values that were there. There was no thought process. I was just putting stuff in there so that way I could see if it worked. So what you'll see is as he does it, it populates out up to that where it says 175, and it should be calculating over there to the total expenses, which is pretty awesome. You'll also see a box at the top there that says variable expenses. That's where you can budget like an extra $10,000 for emergencies, for whatever you want that to be, things that you didn't plan, just unexpected budget for things that maybe weren't on the list. So put that in, and when you're done with that, we'll go to the next tab. So you'll see what's awesome is it calculates out, shows you the average too, which if you're want to know that's exciting. And if you scroll back up to the top to Jerome, you'll see it keeps annual total expenses keeps going up, and that's that really we're looking for this one number. And they want to add in a little variable expense there at the top too, Jerome. Add in $2,000 for just in case an act of God.
A blown engine. You had to replace your car engine.
Yeah. So then now go to the next tab over.
Yeah.
What's exciting is once that's done, what it does for you. Oh, actually 2 tabs over. We'll just
one-on-one calculator.
One-on-one calculator, yeah. So what it does for you is automatically takes that total that you have come up with and fills it in right there. And that's for just your expenses. Now, how much do you want to make per year in profit? So that's expenses. How much do I want to have of free money, of extra on top of things that I can just spend, put into my savings account, what have you? And you can put that in there in that first box. And then additional income from other sources. That's where if you have a day job, you put that box there, and what that comes out to. So then what all that does is it breaks down so that then you can find out what you need to charge per session. So I think I got everything you need in there. You'll also see this box at the bottom here that says, well, what if I'm doing group coaching programs? And it takes that into account. The way you do that is if you go back to the coaching program calculator, you can then go in and put in your expenses for putting together a coaching program, and also input how many sessions that coaching program will be and how much you want to charge per person. Notice there's 2 different calculators here. One is with a targeted ticket price, basically. The other one's with a target capacity price, which I need to change the thing on there. And then what that does is it all works itself out to show you either how many people you need to get into that class to cover your expenses and make a profit, or how much you need to charge if you have X amount of people in your class to make a profit. And then this also copies over into your one-on-one calculator, so you can then take it out and see how much you have to charge per hour to make the amount of profit you want to make, the amount of money, and cover your expenses. Pretty exciting.
Dang, Brooke.
Numbers.
Excel sometimes is so beyond my mind sometimes, and sometimes you don't want to put in the work to figure this stuff out, but Brooke provided this tool for all of you to figure out for your businesses and see where you want to go and set your goals as well. So hopefully your coaching businesses will benefit from this too.
Now this is just going to set the price, but that's only like 1/8 of the work, because all of the other work and the true work comes in filling those seats, finding those clients, marketing for yourself, being confident and selling your services to people. And that is really where the hard work comes in. I think that the coaching part is easy. Even the pricing part is easy. It's the getting clients part that is really the hardest part of this whole process.
So, and I believe we talked about that a few weeks ago, getting clients and how to do it. You're just speaking from your passion, your commitment. That right there will enhance your ability to attract people when you're speaking about who you are and what you're trying to do, and that benefit that that target market's getting. That's going to be your language. Not that you're going to be the salesman of what we think of old school sales. That's not what we're talking about.
But also, though, I want to follow that up, because that is where we start. Like, that as a coach is where you start. Mm-hmm. This next step, though, is to follow through and follow up with your those people. Like, you have to, you just saying what you do is not enough. You have to then basically I'm not saying like go after, but you have to follow through. You have to reach out to people. You can't be scared to put yourself out there and to put yourself out on the limb and ask. Just ask, hey, I offer a service. I offer coaching. Would you be interested in being my client? And sometimes that element, you think it's so simple. It's such a simple thing. It's so easily forgotten. Coaches just expect clients to come banging down their door. But there's a lot of work that has to go in with we're creating rapport and talking to them and building this sort of space where they'll get to that point where they're going to call and be like, okay, yeah, I want to coach.
But the other side of that is, once you do have them in there, don't be afraid to ask for referrals.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, amen to that. Referrals is amen. Don't be afraid. I mean, don't be afraid to the point that build out a referral program.
or be afraid and do it anyways.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, there is an advantage. I know plenty of people who do. They do. Think about it. How many affiliate programs there are? Every DoorDash, everything, you get a thing. If you refer somebody, you get $10 in credits, right? How many times have we seen that on Uber, on Lyft? That is a referral program. There's no reason you as a coach can't do something similar. There's no reason at all that you can't discount. I'll take $50 off your next session if you refer a client to a client that buys a package. No reason why you can't do that.
It sounds like what we're talking here is like your client base, which sounds to me a little hard to digest sometimes, but I like to think of it as developing your community and developing a space where everyone can benefit from everything that is in this space that we're speaking.
Well, it's not only that, and that's the thing, is I think that the mistake to make is to be like, oh, I'm pushing this, it's sleazy, it's like, like it's making a sale, somebody sell for me. No, if you do a great job at what you're doing, if you're coaching, that client is going to walk away thrilled and exhilarated because they have found this nugget, this very special thing that is doing magic for them in their lives. And they're naturally going to want to share that with people. So all of having a referral program is a gentle reminder that you appreciate them sharing that with people and not to be afraid to do so. And sometimes that's all it takes, is saying that to them for them to realize, oh my God, I know 3 people that would love this, and they just that button has not connected, but you just have to say it, put it out, speak it into the universe, and so that then they know, oh, I appreciate what you're doing. It would be really cool of me to share this with other people so that you can benefit as well. It's a reciprocation. It really is. So everybody benefits.
Being on
Everybody
referrals
wins.
as well. Business referrals too, building a network of other business owners, therapists, people who can
Partnerships. Yeah, we call it.
partnerships as well. People who they're working with someone with their own clients and they may think, oh, like they might actually benefit from coaching. I know so and so who can, provide these services as well.
That's
Uh,
one of the things we do at CLCI is like we're always looking to increase value with it when it comes to what we give our students and what we provide when people get certified. So always out there seeking partnerships. How can we both mutually benefit one another? And it's always a two-way street. We will be able to send you, graduated with Sky High, who we just partnered with for doing Squarespace. They're giving us a discount on website templates, and the benefit for us is that we can now offer that to our students, which increases the value of what they get when they attend our school. The benefit for Sky High is we are driving traffic and clientele to them and their site, so that then they will purchase their templates. So it's a two-way street. There's always a mutual, everybody wins, and that's what you're looking for is those kind of relationships where you guys can refer back and forth to each other and cross promotion and marketing is one of the single best things you can do in the world. It's referrals as well.
But you do want to make sure when you are partnering that they're the right partner.
It makes the sense, yes. Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure it's like you're in the same realm. There's not a lot of benefit if it's just out in left field at all.
Get a partner with Monster Energy, see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, I've known a few rock stars that partnered with Monster Energy. It works for them. I don't know for us if that's quite what we want. But the cross promoting, why that works so well, and Jerome, you can attest to this, is it opens the door to a new audience, essentially a different group of people that may not be in your algorithm, in your circle, your bubble of marketing. And what it does is it expands your world a little bit into theirs, and vice versa, which makes you accessible to more people that you may not otherwise have been. So if we're talking on a social base, that's what an influencer. If you get an influencer to mention you, that's because it's not really the influencer that you care about. It's the followers that influencer has and getting into their feeds. So it's a similar concept. We are just about done on time. Final thoughts?
I say this when we get into marketing, don't let this overwhelm you. Take one step at a time. Fears are meant to have you recognize things, but yet follow through and ask for help when you need it.
Be confident in your pricing. Don't lowball yourself. Know the value of your education and the service you give. And don't burn yourself out doing a lot of work and seeing not a lot of return.
And you can still burn yourself out too, doing a lot of work and getting return. Just don't burn yourself out.
Also, don't do that. What I just
said. Don't forget, time is a valuable asset as well.
We were off last weekend, and it was like, what do I do here? I'm used to being like on call and checking things, and so yeah, we got to build in some time to have some time off. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I would say, yeah, numbers personally scare me sometimes, but they're necessary. And I think that if you shift your perspective in the way that you're kind of viewing these numbers, it can really shift the way that you perceive them. And that's kind of where I've been going. Understanding again the importance of numbers, but also understanding you don't always have to look at them cold-heartedly, analytically. I'll just go to Brooke for that whenever I need that.
Cold.
Hey, bring me so much comfort. Numbers, like, they make me feel safe. I don't know. For me, I feel like for whatever reason, like, it gives me that extra layer of, okay, I'm doing things right. The numbers tell me I am. And that to me brings me a tremendous amount of comfort. And also, I just, I can go on about, I have a romance around numbers as well. So, but beyond that, we are leaving the scary, scary land of marketing. No more for a little bit. We're taking a break. Next month, we're going to go into the new core competencies with ICF. ICF has released new core competencies, and we're going to delve into the changes and the new ones and what it all means, and so all that good stuff.
Are we doing a time change experiment?
And we're going to change our time. We're going to start coming on at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Pacific time.
Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we can work our way back, and that's 7 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. Mountain.
And if you're in some other country, I don't know what time it will be, but it'll be an hour later. So people can catch us more often.
Thank you guys so much for watching, everybody out there, and check out Certified Life Coach Institute if you want to get certified and get a lot of awesomeness like pricing calculators. And the pricing calculator will be up and ready to go with our blog when we do the blog on this post, so stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for watching.